My name is Sanif Olek and I'm a producer, a film director and a TV showrunner. I've been in this industry since 1997. Well, you can consider me like a mini activist, social activist. But I do my work, I do my activism via filmmaking, not via carrying flags and watching march. Of course, in Singapore, right, most of the producer directors they seek TV for the bread and butter. To be honest, I realized after several years, right, that I can only do one thing. I can only be good at one thing, right? And that one thing is directing. After ACS, I went to ACJC, right? But I got into the art stream, arts faculty. But I was so adamant that I want to go into science. So because of that, I go to another JC. I learned the hard way that actually my inclination is more towards arts, humanities. The result doesn't qualify me for any university in Singapore. And then I went to army. So again, the army is the kind of, okay, where do I want to go? But I think the 2 years sort of gave me that somehow the future path just doesn't register. So we're just playing, having fun. And upon ROD, right, or ORD, then we were like, oh, what do I want to do? Because most of my friends, right, they either go, my batch, the batch boys, either go to university or SQ.
SQ? Oh, Singapore.
Air stewards.
Air stewards.
Or pilots, right?
Okay.
So I was like, okay, I can't go to university, of course, immediately. So I decided to sort of, okay, maybe I apply for pilot. For steward, cabin crew for SQ because it sounds fun and travel and blah, blah, blah. Then I actually went through the whole process, the interview and all that. And I think I got through the third interview, like almost there already. So my friend who happened to be studying at Ngee Ann Poly, right, suggested that, our circle of friends to go swimming. So we just going, so after the whole thing, so we were walking out. And then I saw this booth, the joint admissions exercise thing. So I saw, there's a film thing going on. So I said, it's a first batch actually. So I thought that it was interesting for them to have that course because back then you associate poly with engineering courses, right, or accounts or business courses. So I thought that, okay, maybe filmmaking is much more humanities. So I decided to just apply, and then somehow I managed to get in. Yeah, it was quite a tough process actually.
How many persons were in the class?
40.
40?
Only, yeah.
Only 40. Only took 40. So there were a lot of applicants?
A lot. So the process was like, there was the interview where you got to present a portfolio and also a written test, like a GP setting. Yeah. One production house, which I am very grateful for the first company, right, that accepted me, Communications 2000. The company was in Tampines and I stay in Jurong, right. When the boss asked me, right, are you prepared to travel from Jurong to Tampines every day? I said, I have to come up with something smart. I said, because I need a job, right? So I said, something like, if I can survive 10.5 years in army from Jurong to Tampines, I think I can do this. I was fortunate because I think the company, right, at that point it was like the peak of its operations. In terms of productions, in terms of connections, network, and all. So I just basically tapped on that. So I think it was my first experience meeting like the stars, meeting like the EPs, meeting like all these people and meeting with stations and all that. And I think they were doing it quite professionally back then. So I kind of, as a newbie, right, you sort of like just observe your boss, observe the other senior people. So I think I pick up a lot from there. I think the first job is the most important. I think, especially when you are in this kind of company, right? Like the company is like a good one. So we just learn from there and sort of Yeah, and I think there's a lot of stuff that they do which I can tap on. I know there are other directors who just take the script and just run with it. But I think for me, I need to be, because I need to be present with the location.
So does it have an impact on your final product?
Yes, it does. Yeah, because I think it gives me, when I meet the profile, right? When I speak to the profile, I kind of have a sense of where he's coming from. And for example, when I interview the profile before the shoot, right? Maybe the profile could be saying something more than the rest. Then I would try to see, how come he's talking more about this? Maybe that's where his interest is. So in the script, I can sort of focus more on that rather than the other things which, if I don't do my research, right, the writer might just focus on something else. It boils down to getting the heart of the program rather than just a rote visual assembly of the project. So in that sense, I think when you are able to get the empathy, get the audience to connect with your work, so that's where the empathy comes in. For example, I mentioned earlier that for me, when I write my scripts, I would rather go down to the ground and do my research. So that's when I sort of like have a feel of where the subject is coming from. So I translate that to my work. There's always this constant feeling of imposter syndrome. I think.
What is imposter syndrome? You feel you're not good enough?
Yeah, I think there's always this whole idea of trying to be the best. Because I think maybe I should blame being commando also. Because the commando, there's always this challenge, like you got to be like the best, always to maintain your standard, you got to like be on your feet, on your toes all the time. I feel personally that some things need to be told. I do my work, I do my activism via filmmaking. I think making films is a much more effective way to reach people, and the time period is much longer and kind of safe. Also, I think when you make films, you can articulate your activism in the language, in the subtext, rather than an actual overt